UWS Weekly, a show that is dedicated to covering United Women's Soccer, a national pro-am league with your host, Jonathan Ward. Each and every week, we will highlight players, supporters, and staff of the clubs we all pride ourselves to support in North America. The UWS is a league that is committed to advancing women's soccer. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last day of the United Soccer Coaches Convention, live from Kansas City, Missouri. I have been blessed and excited all week to have opportunities to talk to some amazing individuals about our sport and the direction in which it's going. And I couldn't be even more excited today to have this opportunity to talk with Leland Hammonds from the San Antonio Athenians, the technical director, to talk a little bit about San Antonio Athenians soccer and the next program. Leland, what is up, my friend? How are you, my man?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Hey, no worries. I'm really excited to have this opportunity to speak with you. New to the technical director side. Tell us a little bit about this opportunity that's come about and how excited you are for the summer of soccer here in 2022, my friend.
I'm really excited. I've been a big advocate of women's soccer, youth soccer, especially on the girls' side for years and years and years. And so we've, just every time I get an opportunity to advance, it doesn't matter how, an analytics coach, jump in and do a technical director, jump in and just be a coach for this little U10 squad, like whatever it needs to be. That's it. I'm just game. We're trying to, on the girls' side, we're trying to give them all the resources that they need, that they deserve, and that the game, wants to have. And so we're super excited about it. I'm pumped up about the opportunity. And really, we had a lot of opportunities that came up this last summer, and this one at Athenians was by far the one that can make the most impact in the women's game. So that's why I was excited for it.
Well, you and I have been sitting around this morning. We got here early to the convention. Yeah. We've been sitting and watching some of the stuff happening over at the VO turf field.
Sure.
What are some of the takeaways you've gotten so far from this weekend?
Honestly, there's so much potential for growth for the women's game. I mean, there's just so many more opportunities. There's so many girls playing, and there's so many great young coaches, and just opportunities everywhere. For me, it's not just being a player, and even just being a coach. That would be great. We want to have a pathway for coach, but for social media and for podcasts and for commentating and for analytics coach and all the different things, all these girls, the girls that I've been working with and the girls that we see at the facility out at Soccer Central in San Antonio, they are so hungry to do anything soccer and to realize that, wow, I could be an analytics coach. I could be a commentator, and so we're trying to open that up. And you don't even have to be a player. We're working with UTSA and with the Alamo colleges in San Antonio, and we're having their kinesiology majors and some of their girls come out and say, hey, we got game day operations and we have a lot of opportunities here. And we would rather give that to you. We'd rather teach you and train you and just throw you in here and see how you like it. And it's been amazing.
We're not spring chickens, so maybe they'll teach us a thing or two about the analytics side, right?
Probably so, and social media, no doubt.
That's for sure. So, hey, listen, we had our AGM yesterday. Without spilling too much of the good information that we took away from that yesterday, because I know I'm excited. I know you and the club is excited about what's developed. But what were some of the major takeaways that you got from that AGM last night?
The professionalism of the league is huge. And, when I work with a lot of the colleges, all over the state, and we've been having girls reaching out from the UK, from Australia, from all over the country asking about playing with the Athenians. And so when you start that process, one of the main things I do is I reach out to the head coach. And depending on when you say semi-pro and when you say some of these leagues, depending on that coach's personal relationship with that, wherever he's from, wherever he's been, wherever she's been, is whether they're excited about it or not. And what I tell them is look at the UWS, look at the professionalism, look at how many girls go pro, look at all the things that we have going on. And then, when you're talking about San Antonio Athenians, look at Soccer Central. I mean, a $7+ million facility that's dedicated to women's soccer. And look at the infrastructure that we have here to take good care of your athletes. And once that process starts happening and that conversation happens, they're a lot more likely because, they may have ran into one and who knows the league, or maybe even it wasn't a semi-pro league, but whatever they think of a summer that their girls are going and training, they're worried. Are they going to get overtraining? Are they even going to get coached? Are they going to get hurt? And so they would much rather just say no or not do it or not be very encouraging unless they know it's quality. And once they see UWS and they start doing a little bit of research and they do their homework, they are like, hey, I've got another girl I'd like to send you as well. And that's huge for us. That's huge for us, but it's huge for the women's game. We have to take that stereotype and that stigma away. This isn't a rec league for former college players and people who just want to stay playing soccer. It's for professionals ran at the top level, and that's what we're trying to get across.
Let's talk a little bit about Soccer Central. You brought it up a few times, and I recall a conversation I had last year about the growth of Soccer Central and the direction in which it was going for the San Antonio community.
Sure.
What's the growth been like over the last year? I know there was some stalls in some things, but now it's starting to pick back up thanks to some loosening in what we've been experiencing the last year.
Sure.
But how would you describe and explain the growth of Soccer Central within the last year or so?
It's really crazy. This is going to be, when it's all said and done, it's going to be an amusement park for soccer. For any soccer aficionado, whatever kind of soccer you want. We opened street soccer a few months ago, and it's just like you'd see in France, these little concrete courts, 4v4, could be 5v5 or 3v3, depending on the age. And not only do we bring the next girls out, which we'll talk about, and the moms and the dads. Like, if we open it up and I have to go back and go grab some pennies, I come back, the moms and dads are playing. Dad's in goal, mom's awesome. Passing it around. And so we have, the growth for me, the inclusion of all ages and all races, all genders, everything. It's so important for us. But we're going to have beach soccer and we're going to have futsal. We have rooftop soccer between our big major building. There's a court. Like, there's any kind of court. If you've ever heard of any kind of soccer, we're going to have it at Soccer Central. And what we want it to be is it's community based, it's community driven, but we want to have a heads up to the women's game and say, you know what, we're going to give you the peak resources. We're going to give you the best coaches. We're going to give you the best infrastructure, when so many other times along their career, they've always been kind of second fiddle to somebody else, right? And that's very, very important to us. Inclusion and being able to talk to our girls that way.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the inclusion and how San Antonio Athenians work. Last year, a lot of great players, a lot of community players. One of our co-hosts for Our Cup of Tea, Katie Goodman, who also does the kickoff show with us. She was a part of the program. But what does it mean to have the relationship with the local college community, to have those players and have the coaches give you trust and faith that those players are going to come back ready and prepared for their college season and not be injured? What does that mean?
Sure. Well, for San Antonio, and really it goes all the way back to the high school level now. We're talking to these high school coaches and these athletic directors at the high schools, and we want to promote you. We want to promote the city. And honestly, for me, born and bred San Antonio, just like I am as well, we want to promote that. But if it's a girl from out of country, out of state, but she's in San Antonio, she's part of our community too. And we want this to be something that San Antonio gets behind. And every game we saw more growth. And every time, we just released Helene Ferris's first announcement that came out, and
absolutely.
Everyone, my phone was blowing up, and all the people that are kind of adjacent to soccer, and people were kind of watching to say, okay, I've gotten excited in the past, and then I've kind of been a little bit disappointed that maybe this didn't come to fruition, or maybe this didn't become what we wanted it to become. We're trying to show them in every way, social media, at the facility, the way that we run the programs and our youth programs, that this is something that's going to have staying power, and this is something that we want them to all get behind and be proud of.
We talked a little bit about the social media aspect last night at our meeting, and one of the things I thought was really good was we actually acknowledged that the Athenians have done a very good job of being present on social media. If you look at the way in which you guys conduct yourselves as a club, tell us a little bit more about why social media is so important for the club as it grows and continues to grow in the San Antonio region, but not just that, also Texas.
Sure. And really, I got to give a shout out to Ryan, our social media. He is phenomenal, and he goes above and beyond. And like I said, for an old dog like me, it's helpful to have a young whippersnapper out there getting it done, making it happen. And it's funny, we're talking to some girls. We have girls that have some very legitimate pro prospects. Our top 4 girls really should play pro. And it's one of those things where these things are self-fulfilling prophecies. And think about it for the high school as well. There's only so many slots on an ECNL team. There's only so many slots on a GA team. There's only so many things from a standpoint of these girls' families, the resources, right? The amount of money that they can put in to the recruiting process and things like that, to where, to me, it prices out a lot of the girls that we train, a lot of the girls that we love, a lot of the girls that we want to come out. And so what we're trying to do on our side is to just raise that exposure and to be able to say, you know what, you don't have to pay that extra $10K to get your recruiting and get these emails and to put all of these things in your profile and everything. All you need to do is come out to Athenians Next, hit a banger, and we're going to post it, and we're going to tag you, and we're going to tag some people adjacent to you, and we're going to tag a few colleges that we go, hey, you know what, I think you might be needing a left back, right? And so we're starting to do that, and when we see that, it is amazing. The analytics on it is really actually crazy. And so what we're trying to do is say, it doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what club you play for, doesn't matter how much your parents can put into all this recruiting process, we're going to be your recruiting process as well, and that's really important to us.
I'm going to acknowledge this, Andy. I don't know, I sent him a message to ask where Harry is, because he is a San Antonio Antonio Athenian guy. We'll see. Maybe he'll pop up here shortly. But Leland, let's talk about some things that are going on. You obviously have a great connection in the college game. How is the NIL changing the landscape of college soccer, but also giving leagues like us the opportunity to help players find that next opportunity?
It's really huge, and really it's just. So I'll go back. I'm gonna step it back one. For me, with all of our girls, regardless of level, self-confidence and self-belief is so important in so many areas of their lives and so many areas of their athletics in particular. It takes a beating, and oh man, the coach is on us about this, and now I'm at high school and I'm having to play a different position, and there's so many things, and I see these girls 3, 4, 5 times a week, and these girls are ballers. But do you see them in the weight of the week, and the weight of the expectations, and the weight of just kind of the way that they're treated, and the way that there should be pleasers, right? I got to be pleasers. I'm subservient to you, right? And I'm here to just you need me to play midfield today? Oh, you need me to play 3 straight games in a day and a half with no break? I'll do it, sir.
That's difficult.
Now with this, they're starting to take ownership of their likeness, ownership of their brand, ownership to say, you know what? Maybe this isn't the best decision for me, right? Maybe I shouldn't be playing this many games. I mean, I'm that way, right? We are girl first, athlete first, and just to build that self-confidence and self-esteem. So really, I like it. I know a lot of people aren't as crazy about it as I am, but I really like it because I love what it's done with the girls. I mean, Helene, we see Helene. I go, oh, Helene's tagging on something. Is it soccer? No, she's doing some sportswear.
That's right.
And that couldn't be bigger. We want to open up that. Just her growth, right? We want her to be able to reach to so many more people, and that's going to help when we talk about pro prospects as well.
Well, you and I, last night at our AGM, I kind of touched on this idea, right? Where yes, we all have Adidas or Nike or Under Armour or New Balance or whatever it may be. We always have that. That's a brand, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, the club becomes the brand, right? Because when then you get 2 players who come to the club and they are able to tie on to a NIL, right?
Sure.
That's 2 more players that could potentially come. I see that. I acknowledge that. Yes. So instead of Athenians being underneath Adidas, right, it's over Adidas because that becomes the brand. And I think when you look at the NIL and you look at everything that is transpiring with it, there's a lot of opportunity for our female athletes to represent themselves, but also use that opportunity to grow as a student of the game, but also help our brands, our clubs, our league grow. And so I'm really excited about what NIL will offer to that. For sure. And I think there's a lot of clubs in our league that are going to help get us to that next step. But I want to talk about the next step, and that you are a girl dad. Your daughter plays, and at a high level. What does that mean for you to have a part of the Athenians in your life, but also show her that there's opportunities for her to grow in the game?
No matter how great of a session I can put her through, one-on-one, small group, or team, to put her in front of the kind of athletes in the roster we had last year. I mean, she walked off, it's easy for her at her age. It's easy. It's hard to get her challenged. It's hard to even get her motivated, right? Because she's just like, she can go out there. The first Athenian session she came out to and they invited her to last year, she walked off the field shell-shocked. I mean, I tried not to laugh. I was trying not to smile. I've never seen her walk off the field like that. And as we walked to the car, we had conversations that we've never had soccer-related before, and the kind of work that we need to put in, and this is the next level. And I told her that session that you went to for 2 hours was worth more than 6 months. And honestly, that was the genesis of Athenians Next, what we ended up doing in the program we started to build for the high schoolers, because I said, if we could get more of these girls in a situation like this with the speed and the athleticism of the girls that we're able to bring to the field, it can just transform them. It can grow the game, because their games are kind of, there's a roof, there's a ceiling to what they can do right now within their age, within what club they're at, within even the high school game. And so now it's like, can we open up that, just blow the roof off and give them so many more opportunities and resources? And going back to your NIL, and the thing I'm most proud of is all these girls that we have. A lot of them are ECNL, a lot of them are GA. They come from all over South Texas. But I think we figured out that we had arrived when the girls started asking me, hey, can we put Athenians Next, the fact that we're in the Athenians Next program, in our profile? Like, those are sacred, because, they're told when they buy these recruiting kind of programs and things, here's how it has to look. And you put your club name, and then you put this, and your GPA, and your clearinghouse number, and all the different things you put there. They are all asking, so much. We want to put Athenians Next at the top. we want to put it right here. And that's the brand that we're trying to do and partner with these girls to be able to get their platform higher.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that next program, because I think there's an opportunity that is there for the Athenians, but not just the Athenians, but the growth of the game in Texas. So tell us a little bit about the next program. How does it work? How do people get involved in the San Antonio Athenians next program?
Oh, it's awesome. So it's for right now, it's for birth year 2005 to 2007. So basically high school freshmen, sophomore, and juniors.
Okay.
We're actually going to launch a younger program here in the spring to where it's going to kind of dovetail into it in the fall. So we'll actually have a lot of different ages covered. But for right now, it's high school age.
Okay.
And they just come and they try out. They can get on our website. They can send me an email or a text. And it doesn't matter, obviously there's going to be a standard.
Yep.
And so if you play for ECNL club or a GA club, you've got an opportunity. But every club is welcome.
Right.
You come out and you train and you're ready to work, then we'll put you in the program. And so we have 24 right now, and that's about where I want the program to be. Although, I keep saying that. I think I said it at 12, now I said it at 14,
Yep.
and then we just keep going and going. And these girls, it's about the kind of girl. We want the girl that wants to get here early, wants to stay late, wants to train, wants to improve their game. And the way that we designed the program is we basically looked at the landscape of club soccer and said, what are the girls getting and what are the areas that they're not getting anything at all? And it's a lot bigger than you think, because it's 3 times a week. If you're at an ECNL level or a GA level, you're getting 3 team training sessions a week, and it's all team tactics. All team tactics. There really is very little strength and conditioning. There's very little when it comes to like injury prevention and strengthening the girls and protecting the girls, because they're playing schedules that would make an EPL men's player blush, right? And here you go. And you're going to go to the showcase. Oh, you're going to play 4 games in 2.5 days. Full games. And the girls' game, when we train them, we're training everybody like Neymar. We're training everybody with foot skills and with
trying
flair.
To get them at the next level.
But in South Texas, but kind of all over the country, girls soccer is expected to be tanks, slamming into one another, and be super physical. We celebrate the boys for athleticism and being dynamic, and the girls for being brave. Throw your head in there, head-to-head collision, dive in there. And so by looking at it here, we just said, you know what? We're not going to fall into that kind of trap. We're going to train these girls with flair to teach them to be dynamic players. None of them are role players. They go back to their club, they go back to their high school, and now you're Neymar. Get out there and show them what you can do. And when we looked at it, just protecting them, training them, and we do 30 to 45 minutes every single session is strengthening hip flexors, anterior tibialis, the shin muscle, and it's right there. All the muscles that protect the knee. We're putting that time. Everybody kind of talks about it, but if you actually look at the details and watch, you go, when is the injury prevention again? I see y'all training some more. When is it going to be? So we're intentional about it. We really don't do anything opposed. Everything is technique and skill based, and it's by position, which is another thing. Boys, if a guy comes up and says he's a striker, you put him as a striker. Absolutely. You wouldn't insult him by putting him anywhere else. Girls, the second they see a girl, they go, well, we're going to put you a defender. You're going to go play midfield today. But I'm a striker. No. And then the girls themselves, when you're a 13, 14, 15-year-old girl and you've got this male coach that comes in and says, hey, you're going to go play defense. Well, you go play defense, right? You don't want to have like a stigma attached to you. Oh, she's not coachable. She doesn't want to play. But who would do that? So here we break them into strikers, wingers, midfielders, and they get 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour of training. And you would be shocked. Some of these girls that they're ODP, they're top players in the region. They already have college commitments. They'll come back after session and go, coach, no one's ever showed me how to cut a ball back. Like they yell at me when I don't do it. I get to the end line and I put it in the side netting or I hit it too close to the goalie. Everyone yells at me, my dad included, everyone on that sideline in there, but no one's shown me what's the actual technique, my body position. And that's kind of where my background comes into play. I taught college for 15 years. My master's degree is in motor skill development. So basically the shape of your body, where you're at. And so we go into the very fine details, and it's really awesome. We're thrilled with the progress.
There's a lot of details that are coming out too. We're seeing a lot of studies that have to do with cycles and everything else on training. So I know you guys are going through that in the program. But one of the other questions, and not a question, I think one of the things that I heard this morning in our training session here was a young woman said, in order for me to be successful, I have to have 2 things. I have to be assertive and I have to be respectful of both my teammates and the opponent. And I thought taking that away, and I think you heard it as well, but that definitely changes the way we think about soccer in a woman or female aspect, because a lot of the misconception is that they're not assertive enough on the pitch, right? Or that they don't, they're not respectful, or they're completely false. And now hearing that from a young woman was refreshing, because that is taking ownership of your training. That is taking ownership of everything you're doing. I thought that was a key vocabulary term that now I have to take in and use, because I think it's important.
When girls have people who believe in them, and their confidence is up, they walk different, they talk different, and when they get after it, and they're not, and again, when it comes to, they're great teammates and they're great opponents. That's the key. You go to some of these games, and man, we go to these showcases and everything else, and you love to see the camaraderie, right? And let's go to battle, but then afterward, I'm going to pick you up, and then, you don't have, it doesn't have to have so much gamesmanship. And the wins and the losses, we tell the girls all the time, you're never going to remember the actual final of this high school game that you played sophomore year, but you're going to remember this journey, and you're going to remember these girls. And how many times do those girls come back into your life? When I talk to Helene, I go, hey, I heard this girl reached out. Oh, I knew her from this. Like, the community is there, and when you treat them with respect, you can continue to grow your exposure. You continue to grow. You never know when that girl's going to come back around and be an Athenians teammate with you.
That's right. Hey, well, let's talk about that final loss. Let's go there. Yeah. And so this past summer, the summer of soccer 2021, the Athenians made it to the Final Four.
Sure.
And I don't think there's a good taste that is in the mouth of the women who played in that match. Is there a chip on the shoulder going into 2022, sir?
Every girl that I have called, every woman from the team, literally, and they haven't coordinated it, they all say unfinished business. Every girl says unfinished business. They're hungry. They love the journey. They love the battle. And remember, we were second in the league. And so, Lone Star Republic had a great team, and we want to win the league. There's other steps along the way to get to the national championship. But, we've looked at the areas where we want to improve the roster, and we want to have a little bit more depth. And we got to look and say, okay, well, where are these other teams getting an advantage? And we need to narrow that gap. And then also look, and what I really like is, again, I don't think the older girls are going to let me say in the past, but we've got the future and next. We have our Division I girls, and then we have the girls that are alumni, girls that are in their mid-20s and late 20s, former college athletes who stay in shape, stay fit, play year-round, and they're a part of it. And they're really, even though we're new ownership, they're a part of the thread of the initial Athenians team. And so to put all of those together, and when you guys said, last night at the meeting, not to reveal too much, but there is legislation about the girls the D1 athletes having to come back earlier. And it was a battle last year. When we made it to finals, every girl, me, our goalkeeper who was heading to Nebraska, there was a lot of phone calls and a lot of discussions
back and forth
to make sure she could stay and play right there. And now, if they're going to be coming back 2 weeks earlier, 4 weeks earlier, that's something that all the technical directors and everyone's going to have to account for and say, okay, are these girls that I'm going to lose before we make it to the Final Four? And that's a really big thing too. So roster construction and depth of the roster is really huge, but we're hungry. We're hungry.
Hashtag unfinished business is going to be the Athenians, the logo you're going to see all year. But listen, Leland, I got to really ask, we talk about this unfinished business and kind of how these girls have to go back. I feel as though as a former college, athlete, that this extra time playing is actually good. Yes, we don't want to overwork the system, and we don't want players to come back injured. But at the same time, it's run up. This is an extended hell week, so they come back and they're at the top of their game. We saw this last year with a lot of our athletes, and how when they come back, they're already 5 steps ahead of everybody who took the summer off. So how do we work that to still promote to coaches? Look, we're doing you a favor in a way, but we're not going to put your players at injury. So how does that work?
Social media is huge, because to continue to see that trend, right? And Mia, the funny thing was Mia had like 26 saves when we played Club America in the exhibition. Club America, we played their pro team. They came down, and she had an amazing game. And when we posted that, and when we started tagging everything, and Nebraska Athletics as well, and everything, there was a partnership that kind of formed all of a sudden that I was just like, you know what, we're going to lean into this a lot more. So social media, we really are, we're working on, we tag everything, right? We tag UTSA, we tag Incarnate Word, we tag all of our collegiate, all our colleges in the area, but we want to work with them. And it's a challenge, because they have a lot on their plate. I've got a lot on mine, but it's worth it to me to shoot a video of Helene and shoot it over to Coach Pittman and say, hey, look at Helene getting after it. We're working, we're taking great care of her, and we're going to do it. So it's outside the scope, maybe someone would say, of a technical director or of a social media manager or anything else, but having constant communication and saying, your trust is well founded with us, and we're here to take care. Because here's the thing: if we have a tweak, if one of our athletes has a tweak, she's not playing in the game, regardless of how important that game is. We have the athletic trainers at Soccer Central are amazing. They work with UT Health Science, and when they say no, it's a no. And that's why we built the roster the way we have, why we have the next girls, why we have the depth that we have, because we're not sending sending anyone out here because honestly, at the end of the day, we understand that we're one of probably 3 important seasons they have: their fall season, their spring season, and then their season with us. And so we're not trying to say we're more important, but when you come here, we're coming to work, we're coming to committed, we're going to be so organized. You'll go back to yours and go, wow, the organization of the Athenians, I mean, it rivals what we're doing right here, and that's what we're looking for.
That's awesome, Leland. I'm really excited to see what San Antonio can bring to the table this summer of soccer 2022. Leland, I know you got in yesterday, and there's a lot of things that you want to see, and a lot of the training sessions. So I want to say thank you first off for taking the time to join me this morning. I know our connections and everything else is going to be great throughout the year. Check out San Antonio Athenians everywhere on social media. Follow this guy; he's a good follow too.
That's good.
And I wish everybody the best of luck. If there's anything we can do for you, please reach out to us. For myself, for UWS and UWS2, thanks everybody for joining us. Leland, San Antonio Athenians Soccer.
My pleasure.
Hashtag unfinished business.
Shout out Katie Goodman.
Sir, we'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
It's time for a dedicated women's league to fill the gap between college and professional soccer. A league that's committed to advancing women's soccer, focusing on the development of the female soccer player during the summer months, elevating the competition to help each player reach that next level, providing high-level soccer for collegiate players, aspiring and former professionals, and international stars, operating with professional standards because players and fans deserve an exceptional experience, uniting players that inspire and are inspired. We are passionately growing the women's game. The future is bright for United Women's Soccer. It's time. Be part of the movement.
So we're